get into this next reaction, shall we? Now, shout outs to Patrick CC. Love your vids. The Nightmare of Jimmy Fallon. Without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's get into it, y'all.
There's an undeniable sincerity that emanates from Jimmy Fallon. He's not just a talk show host, he's a friend you've known for years, inviting you into his world with open arms. Since his late night debut in 2009, Jimmy has almost unanimously been loved by fans and celebrities, but not anymore. The people closest to Jimmy, the ones he relies on the most, have come forward to reveal that his actual character behind the scenes is the total opposite of lovable and genuine. Erratic behavior, outbursts, intimidation, avoid eye contact. Nobody told Jimmy no. These quotes don't sound like the unapologetically joyful Tonight Show host we know, but these revelations might not be shocking to some. As many people have speculated, Jimmy's nice guy persona is entirely fake. More specifically, his fake laugh.
You can't Jimmy.
Damn, a compilation of laughs is crazy.
Jimmy will laugh at just about everything, to the point where he sounds like a programmed laugh track being controlled by a producer backstage.
If you think about embarrassment, scale of 1 to 10,
Okay.
1 is just like being a person walking down the street, and 10 is, for me, co-hosting the Oscars with James Franco.
Without letting Ann mention why this was embarrassing, Jimmy just bursts out into laughter when there was nothing funny about what she said.
And then he tries to connect my my right foot to my left arm, and he's trying to connect them like this, and I'm in such pain. I go like that,
Yeah.
and his belly goes in my mouth.
Even Ryan Gosling looked at Jimmy confused as to why he was laughing so hard. They both play it off awkwardly because they quickly realize this is harmless and it only makes them look better or funnier. There's no point in calling him out, but Taylor Swift wasn't having it.
The VMAs are coming up August 24th, and they're saying, I heard that Taylor Swift will be performing. Can you confirm or deny?
I mean, we've had a really good time today.
Taylor?
So,
Taylor?
see where I'm going with this at least. Nobody ever listens to me.
Oh my
Finish a
God.
thought.
Oh my God.
So what I was saying is
You're not even
that-
looking at me.
because I'm trying to think of what to say next.
If he isn't interrupting them with laughter, he is interrupting them with other pointless talking. Taylor Swift's frustration was a little more obvious than David Spade's.
Carson wasn't even the first one, but I squeaked on. You did stand up. When I did, I'll tell the story. When
David
I didn't peep game to that. I didn't peep that. And I guess it is maybe because of the fact I don't watch Jimmy Fallon's interviews enough. But damn, okay. I didn't know he was like this shit.
just gave him a little jab, and Jimmy knew he was wrong for interrupting the comedian, so he tried to make Dave look like the bad guy and walk off. This wasn't the first time Jimmy walked off set to avoid an awkward situation that he caused.
No, it's about how you can beat a human being down
Don't
to...
tell anyone. It's okay. Let them
Just see the movie.
or not.
Or not. You know what the movie's about, kind of, right? Yeah, so you don't need me. You don't need me.
No, do it. It was
No, you
nice.
don't need
You
me.
were doing it.
No,
Do it. You should
no
do
one
it.
needs
No,
me. It's fine.
okay.
Let's go.
No, come back. Come on, man.
This is a safe way to play off his awkward interruptions because no host would ever walk off their own show for a tiny error. Often it seems like Jimmy has nothing substantial to add to the conversation but feels the need to interrupt or explode with laughter. The internet has memed Jimmy's antics into oblivion. While some say he has a huge ego and wants more spotlight for himself, it seems like he does this to maintain control. He fears dead air, a boring story, or an unfunny joke.
Listen, I feel the dead air stuff because as somebody it is who's okay. So my major is communications and minor broadcast journalism. I've done many different outlets of media, and dead air is honestly like an enemy for every single one. Especially this if you're on radio or like a podcast or whatever. Dead air sucks. So you don't want that. You kind of want you want things to be natural, but you want to make sure it is that there's no dead space, because dead space is a problem. That means it's an error that's going on, something it is that happened where it is that it should have been never been said, or it just you lose interest very, very quickly. So we learned about this in in our journalism classes. But I don't know, man. Like Jimmy does it's giving a little diva-ish. It's giving a little, ego is one hell of a thing, We've just seen that within recent timing of a certain somebody. It is we're not gonna draw no names to, but you just gotta be careful when it comes down to that because the last thing it is you want to be doing, especially since I've done quite a few interviews before, you do not want to make the person it is that you are interviewing uncomfortable. You kind of want to stick to certain bases and everything like that and just let it kind of flow naturally. There's some questions that I've had to do like on the spot, like improvise, questions and stuff. But normally within any interviews and any interviews, you should always ask the person it is that's being interviewed what questions it is are you comfortable saying or answering. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some stuff it is that people do not want to talk about and they will very much say, hey, listen, I don't want to talk about this, this is and this, or I didn't agree to talking about this in the beginning, blase, blase, The only late night hosts that are genuinely funny is Drew Carey, Leno Letterman, and okay. I mean, I've Drew Carey, I've definitely watched a couple times. So I definitely give you that. But in that kind of industry, you want to keep ratings up, and that's how you keep a job. True, but you don't also want to ruffle feathers with the audience. Well, not the audience. Well, with the people that's just getting interviewed. You don't want to do that because then he's like, oh shit, here you go. You going on Jimmy Fallon's show. Oh boy, he's gonna sit there. Not only does he's gonna interrupt you every single time, but he's gonna laugh at the most inappropriate jokes. You don't want that to be said of you too, because that travels. That travels everywhere. So there has to be a level of decorum when it comes down to doing stuff like this.
So he jabs his way into the conversations with quick jokes or laughs in an attempt to make sure the audience is engaged, but then it ends up doing the opposite. I mean, every time a guest is talking, he leans in, stares at them intensely, maybe reaches his arm out, and is waiting for a split second to interrupt to make sure you are entertained. The other thing that agitates people is how he showers every single guest with compliments. You're my favorite, we love you, it's my favorite movie, my favorite album, as if celebrities need any more ego stroking. Jimmy's defenders think all this controversy
not necessarily
is
a bad
ridiculous.
thing.
Should he not laugh? Just sit there and be awkward? His show is supposed to be fun. He just wants his guests to be relaxed and confident in front of a live audience.
Which I understand.
This can definitely explain his overreactions to guests winning his minigames.
Sounds like a poodle.
Yeah.
A labradoodle.
Now,
This be something it is I would do. Hi, Stefan, how are you? I would do something like this, But then again, I'm naturally a silly thing. So if we, what I'm saying, if it was something it is I was doing something like this, hell yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm engaged. Especially if you got an audience, it's so easy for people to just lose, be uninterested or they get bored with certain things very easily. So you gotta sometimes you gotta improvise right then on the spot. Keep people on their toes. They'll be like, oh, what did I miss? What happened? This isn't it.
it seems ridiculous
John
to
Cena
nitpick
don't
this
like him
from
at
Jimmy
all.
because fake reactions have been a crucial part of TV and YouTube forever. David Dobrik, KSI, and Joe Rogan have been large contributors to the fake laughter, fake reaction epidemic.
Okay, and if you think there is, it's very like, I know everything. I kind of do agree with a lot of what he says.
Jimmy is a people pleaser and just wants to make everyone comfortable, bless his heart. That laugh does the opposite to me. It feels like he's hiding something. And Jimmy may be hiding something, a lifetime of alcoholism. And the reason he began drinking may shock you. But first, a word from our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Get in on the NFL action with their pick'em game. All you have to do is pick whether your player will CC today to take advantage and win some money. As a teenager, Jimmy was obsessed with Saturday Night Live. The program had been running for nearly 2 decades, and Jimmy was fully immersed, insisting on watching the program alone in pure silence because he hated unnecessary commentary from others. Although he could only see the clean parts his parents taped for him, Jimmy didn't miss a single sketch or punchline and remained devoted to learning as much as possible. Ironically, his parents didn't want him watching adult humor sketches, but they would let him drink alcohol while watching. As long as I wasn't doing anything at night, I'd just sit by myself and I would have a 6-pack.
How does that make sense? So you don't want him watching the adult content, but you're allowing him to do something it is that what adults do. How does that make sense? That makes literal no sense. Okay, all right, heard you. All right, bet. I don't know if you was around when that was going on in Living Color. I still can't tell the difference between both shows. Well, in Living Color was definitely going on while it is I was a a Ouija for sure. But but yes, I remember In Living Color. I honestly like I loved it, to be honest. Like, a lot of people ended up coming from that show as it is. And then blossomed into their own different like careers and stuff, including with J Lo. She was a backup dancer that was originally for In Living Color, and then of course now look what she's doing, stealing other people's music.
Pabst. I don't know if I made it all the way
No
through the
shade,
six,
though. No shade,
but
no
I just
shade,
sit
no
there and
shade.
watch the show
No
and
shade,
tape
though.
it. He and his sister Gloria reenacted sketches with friends before Jimmy discovered a talent for impressions, often impersonating actor James Cagney and comedian Dana Carvey. I was one of those kids who, if I hung around another kid for an hour, I was that kid. Fallon said, it was weird. I'd come home and I'd do his type of humor, his type of mannerisms, and my mom would say, okay, Joey, you want dinner now? Because I'd be acting like Joey Gonzalez. From a young age, Jimmy was an imitator, instinctively copying and mimicking things that he thought were funny instead of having the drive to produce his own material, which was an early sign of being the perfect late-night television host. Through hours of meticulously studying various comedy and musical routines, Fallon continued working on his craft and established himself as a performer at Saugerties High School, appearing in most stage productions. It was a rush. I think it was the rush of getting a reaction. Maybe it's acceptance. Maybe it's a thing where you're pleasing somebody. I want to be friends with everybody. And if you make a joke and everyone laughs, you're like, that's it, I scored. That's what I thought making a friend was. You just feel like people liked you. So maybe it was that. Acceptance. It seems like Jimmy's people pleaser mentality has been in full effect since his youth. His obsession with Saturday Night Live carried on throughout his time at St. Rose College in New York, skipping parties and events so that he could watch SNL
University
as it
of Albany.
aired.
I know where
Fallon
that is.
lived for the weekends when he would regularly board buses from his aunt's house in Fort Hamilton to perform stand-up comedy sets at Caroline's on Broadway and Times Square. On stage is where Jimmy felt most at home, and his urge to make audiences laugh couldn't be ignored as he dropped out of college in 1995 to move to Los Angeles, California to pursue comedy full-time. He secured a manager who got him very minor roles in comedy films like Father's Day and television sitcoms like Spin City, but it didn't matter because his dream wasn't to become an actor. Jimmy remained fixated on joining Saturday Night Live. After 2 years of working on his sketch comedy and improv skills with the Groundlings, he took a leap of faith and auditioned for SNL, but bombed. This career setback could have killed his dreams as a comedian altogether, but his obsession with SNL wouldn't let him give up. When he landed a small role on a Warner Brothers sitcom, Fallon negotiated a clause in his contract that would release him if he got on SNL. The producers agreed only because they thought it would never happen. This was my ultimate goal. If I ever cut into a birthday cake and made a wish, I would wish to be on SNL. If I threw a coin into a fountain, I would wish to be on SNL. If I saw a shooting star, I would wish to be on SNL. It's crazy. I had no other plan. I didn't have friends. I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have anything going on. I had my career. That was it. SNL is notorious for its difficult audition stage. The series creator, Lorne Michaels, almost never laughed during auditions, and it would take a special talent to grab his attention. Fallon recalls 3 different people warning him about Lorne's lack of laughter, but he learned a lot from his first catastrophic performance, and his second audition, he would come prepared with nothing but himself and his impressions, something that he perfected over time. Jimmy marched on that stage, performing a celebrity walkathon with impressions of Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Bill Cosby, and Adam Sandler. Celebrity walkathon with impressions of Jerry Seinfeld.
Damn, bro, I thought my teeth was big, but God, I'm not here to disparage anybody because it is. I got some chompers. You know what I'm saying? I had to grow into my teeth. But golly, you have minimal gums in all teeth. Jesus. And that's not to disparage you.
Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Bill Cosby, and Adam Sandler. To his surprise, Michaels and other executives could not stop laughing. I was in the room that day, says former SNL writer Tina Fey. He's one of 2 people I've ever seen who was completely ready to be on the show. Kristen Wiig is the other one. And Jimmy was ready like if there had been a show to do that night. Lorne Michaels informed Jimmy that his dreams were now a reality. He was going to be a cast member of Saturday Night Live. All Jimmy could do was look at Michaels and tell him, I'm going to make you proud. He debuted beside the cast of SNL as a featured player during its 24th season in September 1998. Fallon established himself as a household name overnight, becoming known for his spot-on impressions of various celebrities and public figures. While he was living out his dream, Jimmy was also developing a scary addiction that would come back to haunt him decades later. During their time at SNL, Fallon and cast member Horatio Sanz often drank together. Sanz has described himself and Fallon as super fun functioning alcoholics, and stated that kind of goes hand in hand with SNL, some kind of substance abuse issues because it's so stressful you could easily find yourself blowing off steam a lot. Sands recounted how he and Fallon got in a couple of brawls. I've seen Jimmy clock a few people, he said. Jimmy could fight. I don't know where he learned, but he definitely scrapped with the best of them. Jimmy working in a high-stress environment and abusing his health to cope is potential foreshadowing for the work environment he would create on his own show. He always planned to leave Saturday Night Live after 3 seasons. However, Lorne Michaels offered him a role on Weekend Update with Tina Fey, which is essentially the comedic news section that SNL covers every week. Unfortunately, Jimmy also developed a negative reputation on SNL as somebody who can't hold in his laughter. At first, it was an innocent mistake that began in the famous More Cowbell sketch, when Will Ferrell wore a tight shirt that caused Fallon to break character. Every cast member was laughing during this skit because, well, it was hilarious. But that moment opened a revolving door of cast members intentionally trying to get Jimmy to break character, and he did break character. A lot. Interrupting the punchlines and comedic timing by laughing and giggling. While some thought it was hilarious, others found it insensitive and believed he was attempting to steal their spotlight and make the sketches about himself. Lorne didn't like it, the writers didn't like it. I'm not trying to do it on purpose, I'm trying not to do it, but sometimes it just got insane. I couldn't hold it in. It was just so much fun. SNL has always tried to maintain the best of the best when it comes to comedic talent. Comedians laughing at their own jokes can sometimes be seen as unprofessional. In 2004, Jimmy decided to leave SNL and move into traditional acting. He signed a 2-movie deal with 20th Century Fox with the hopes of becoming a prominent star in the industry. The first was a lead role in the 2004 action comedy Taxi, alongside then rapper turned actor Queen Latifah. The other was the 2005 romantic comedy.
It's crazy to think it is like they getting on him because it is he's laughing. Like, I mean, during a skit, sometimes it is you do gotta be serious, but then there's other times where it's just like, you know, it could be considered as a blooper or whatever the case is. All right, cool, but I feel like they being a little too harsh on it because it is that he was laughing. Some should be funny. Like, come on now. I don't think he's intentionally meaning to do that on purpose.
Fever Pitch, alongside Drew Barrymore. Both films received mixed reviews and had decent box office performance, but were not the first impression Jimmy Fallon wanted. With back-to-back disappointments, film offers rapidly decreased as studio executives grew hesitant to feature Fallon in future projects. He experienced what he has deemed a lost period, characterized by a larger than usual alcohol consumption and uncertainty about his future career choices. I was probably drinking more than I should have been drinking.
Right, I'd be cracking up
it wasn't
laughing
like
too.
Sitting and watching old tapes of me on SNL with the screen flickering and
it don't take much for your girl to laugh at shit. I laugh at the most minuscule things. I could literally be seeing something on Twitter and be laughing, dying laughing, like a gut type of laugh by myself, you know? So I understand that. Like, it don't take much for me to go ahead and go about my day, you know? But, I think they're being a little too harsh on my guy here.
in front of me. I was like, I can't figure out what I want to do. Fortunately for Fallon, the man who gave him his dream job at SNL was about to save him once again, as the host of Late Night had an opening in 2009 after Conan O'Brien was transitioning to The Tonight Show. But Jimmy didn't make the best first impression. Many quickly realized that Jimmy wasn't edgy or dark enough for late night comedy. GQ claimed Jimmy was too cute for late night audiences used to hanging out with the snarky, cool crowd, suggesting he was too corny. Yeah, the cool crowd was always beyond my grasp, he admitted. Late Night with Jimmy Fallon premiered on NBC in early March 2009. The series immediately outperformed CBS's The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson by 500,000 viewers. Fallon also garnered more viewers than his predecessor, Conan O'Brien. Late Night with Jimmy Fallon was one of the first late night talk shows to embrace social media and use it as an integral part of the show's engagement with its audience. Jimmy was able to connect with the youth who weren't watching TV at midnight in 2012 by regular uploads to YouTube, particularly comedic sketches and challenges with their favorite celebrities.
I got these tickets to the One Direction concert.
Ew, I love One Direction. Do you have an extra ticket?
Yeah.
Many of these videos amassed millions of views, but it was nothing compared to the dominance he would have on The Tonight Show. In early 2014, Jimmy Fallon transitioned to NBC's The Tonight Show, where he had big shoes to fill. From Steve Allen to Jack Parr to the iconic Johnny Carson, who stamped the show's legacy for 30 years, then Jay Leno and Conan O'Brien, it was now Jimmy's job to lead the most popular late night show of all time. He debuted to a staggering 11.3 million viewers, and despite all the alleged fake laughing, overreactions, interruptions, and being too corny, he dominated late night television.
That's all that matters at the end of the day. All that shit that everybody was talking about with him, but like, oh, he's too corny for this, this isn't this. How's that 11.3 million viewers watching me on the debut show drop onto your fucking forehead, bro? Because that's some shit. Like, listen, sometimes it is you just gotta let the money and let the number speak for itself. But people go ahead and have major doubts on you, whatnot, and you go ahead, you be pulling numbers like this, it shut people up very fast. You know, it is what it is. He showed people it is that he was able to do it and did and do.
The show averaged 3 to 4 million live concurrent viewers throughout the years, but also embraced social media with their YouTube channel that has amassed 30 million subscribers, with multiple videos in the hundreds of millions of views. A lot of Jimmy's segments mimic the format of YouTube challenges. Many of you have never even watched Late Night, but have seen tons of The Tonight Show's YouTube segments, such as Lip Sync Battle, Musical Impressions, and Egg Russian Roulette, where he and his guests would engage in playful competitions resulting in funny and often viral moments. His comedic sketches and style often mimicked SNL because of his obsession and Lorne Michaels' production. Jimmy is like the personification of a golden retriever, and America loved him. And although the late night host is a high profile and often rewarding role, the pressure can be severe. Late night hosts are expected to be funny and entertaining every night. The constant pressure to deliver humor can be mentally and emotionally taxing. Late night hosts must stay up to date with current events and pop culture trends to keep their material relevant, which requires continued.
But that's just journalism in general. I think journalism now is just like it's always changing because of the fact of like social media is changing. You know what I mean? So his strategy for going for the like youthful, you know, targets and everything, it's always gonna sell. It's a business move. You know, you can get an older audience, cool, but you gotta know what's in. Right? He's basically a content creator. Exactly. You gotta know what's in, because if you don't, then you're just gonna be put into such a niche. And you're not gonna grow. You're not gonna grow. It's always a business strategy. What's new? What's, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are the people that eat? Like, for example, I have a professor, Dr. Otis Thomas. Not only it has been my professor for a couple classes, my mentor, and on top of that too, my counselor for my damn, you know what I'm saying, for my major. This man has literally been hosting and doing interviews and stuff like that since it is like of my age, you know what I'm saying? And he's well into his 60s, 70s, boom, still doing this. He's talking about oh yeah, we bringing Sexy Red to the university. We're gonna do an interview, this, and this. Now, Dr. Otis Thomas, who the hell told you about Sexy Red? You know what I mean? It's stuff like that. It's just like, you gotta know what's in. He was even saying the name wrong and everything like that. Like, you know, it is what it is. You gotta know who's in. Because that's what the consumer is like as of right now. So it's like, all right, bet, boom, you know, we bring this person in. You know, he had his own show and everything just like this. So it's literally the best strategy to do it. Oh shit, I'm at 4%. JD's calling me.
Continuous research and adaptability. The aspect of balancing multiple roles can also be demanding, as late night hosts are not just comedians, they are also producers, writers, and often performers in various sketches and segments. Coming up with fresh and original content night after night can be creatively exhausting, as hosts must continually innovate to keep their shows interesting. Meanwhile, late night shows are often live or recorded in front of a live audience. This leaves little room for mistakes, and hosts must be prepared to handle unexpected situations. Therefore, late night hosts are very much reliant on their staff to help with research, writing jokes and sketches, making sure there are as little errors as possible. These writers and employees are Jimmy's lifeline. There is no show without them, and he made a crucial error on May 1st, 2023.
I wouldn't have a show if it wasn't for my writers, and I support them all the way. They got to have a fair contract, and they got a lot of stuff to iron out, and hopefully they get it done.
If there is a strike, do you go dark?
If there's a strike, yeah, I think we will. Yeah, I think we'll go dark. Whatever I can do to support the guild. I am actually in the Writers Guild as well, so. Yeah, I couldn't do the show without them, and I support my whole staff.
Although Jimmy says he will support his writers no matter what, his staff says otherwise. As one of his employees took to Twitter to write, he wasn't even at the meeting this morning to tell us we won't get paid after this week. Jimmy Fallon, please support your staff. Had fun bowling with you last week. but a party won't pay my rent. I'm sure many of you have heard about the 5-month-long writers' strike in Hollywood that just ended, and the reason for the strike is quite simple. The Writers Guild of America is the joint efforts of 2 different American labor unions representing thousands of writers in film, television, radio, and online media. Writers are the backbone of Jimmy Fallon and all of Hollywood's content. Without them, there are no jokes, no scripts, no stories, nothing. Yet somehow, they are the least compensated, with most of them earning below the poverty line in salary. Writers make a bulk of their earnings through residuals, which is a percentage that gets paid out to them every time a movie or show is streamed or syndicated in the future. But Hollywood executives restructured the industry during the streaming era, so these writers get basically nothing after the content is uploaded. And the studios are profiting tens of billions, while the people who are actually creating the ideas from scratch are on food stamps. So Jimmy's saying he supports his staff no matter what, but not increasing their salaries to a livable wage had them pretty pissed off, which led to a Rolling Stone article that contacted over 50 Tonight Show employees revealing what Jimmy is really like behind the scenes. Although many praised Fallon for his immense talent and comedic gifts, nobody spoke on record or had positive things to say about working on The Tonight Show. Interestingly enough, 3 employees who originally worked on Late Night claim a dramatic and ugly shift in working environment occurred once they transitioned to The Tonight Show. People that worked under them felt this pressure that if you made one mistake, you were gone and would be easily replaced. From 2014 to 2022, there were 9 different showrunners. This constant change in leadership
With the 20 months, it's almost time. I know, Spider-Man's coming out.
gradually created a chaotic atmosphere among staffers who expressed their loss in faith in senior leadership. Nobody told Jimmy no. Everybody walked on eggshells, especially showrunners. Another former employee says, "You never know what Jimmy you were going to get, and when he was going to throw a hissy fit." They described Jimmy's temperament, mood, and treatment of staffers as erratic. They suggested Jimmy Fallon was unpredictable, having witnessed him snap at crew members over the smallest things. They also claimed Fallon occasionally berated and belittled staffers out of frustration. 3 former employees said that he berated them in front of other colleagues and crew members. It was like, if Jimmy's in a bad mood, everyone's day is fucked. When something was wrong, we all knew how to behave afterwards, which was just sort of avoid eye contact and don't make another mistake. The article then dives into Jimmy's SNL skit in 2000 where he did an impression of Chris Rock while doing blackface. Jimmy apologized for this skit that resurfaced in 2020, and the article followed up this information with an employee alleging that the staff tried to sweep this controversy under the rug. A black employee claims that showrunner Granite Benderman kept asking them, "What is going on with your hair?" trying to paint the picture of a racist environment behind the scenes at The Tonight Show. Employees claim that they experienced deteriorating health effects due to the environment, hair thinning, extreme weight loss. Mentally, I was in the lowest place of my life. I didn't want to live anymore. One longtime employee says they never reported their issues to HR because early on in their tenure at the show, they saw colleagues of theirs attempt to speak to human resources representatives and subsequently got fired from the show. They don't protect us, the former staffer says. They don't do anything for us. Many of you watching have probably worked in a toxic environment and have experienced similar ramifications as these employees alleged. So you can easily see this being a reality for Jimmy's show. Others speculated that this is nothing more than a hit piece. Many think that Jimmy's short temper, erratic behavior, and need for nothing less than perfection is standard for someone putting on a show for millions and millions of people. They think most of the worst allegations are against the showrunners, and Jimmy has to take the blame since he is the boss. Most people wonder why someone wouldn't just get a new job if it was so bad. Then again, Jimmy did come from SNL, which was one of the most high-stress work environments that led to multiple employees suffering from substance abuse issues. So it's not that hard to believe that he could have created a similar environment thinking it's just show business. However, after Rolling Stone published the article, Fallon apologized to staff members in a Zoom call. "It's embarrassing, and I feel so bad," Fallon said, according to 2 people who were on the call. "Sorry if I embarrassed you and your family and friends. I feel so bad I can't even tell you." We don't have the full apology, so we don't know if Jimmy is accepting blame for all of these allegations, for just a few, or if he is just following the command of his PR team to avoid the same outcome as Ellen.
Oh yeah, Ellen had it rough. Ellen had it rough, but hey, listen, there's a lot of dark things it is that like I've heard about with this woman. May I add?
With every step.
What? I just hope it is that he paid these people. Like, fuck all of that. Like, with an apology and stuff like that may or may not be sincere. Where the money at? Where's the money at? Where's the money? That's all it is that's important at the end of the day. Because, writers, as the reason to why it is that things shake to begin with. It's the same thing with like editors for us. Like it's we like you know what I mean. Without that, there literally won't be the content. So I wholeheartedly agree. It is that writers should definitely be getting paid. Let them get paid for what it is that they do. Cause shit, that's unacceptable to why it is like writers are being on food stamps and stuff like that. And these people are making millions of dollars off of a project. Like that's asinine to me. Hey, listen, W Patrick CC, love the reactions. W video, W you guys into the chat. Besides y'all that be acting out of character and thinking it is y'all is able to say whatever it is y'all want to say up into my chat. And W you at home.